There are certain things that we are not going to tell you about the pain in your life. The first thing we are not going to tell you is that God is trying to teach you something. I know you may have heard that in church, and unfortunately, as the body, we haven't exercised enough emotional intelligence to not try to spiritualize away real pain, real trauma. So in an effort to have this myopic view of this is the way the Bible works, this is the way the power of God should work, we have people skip over the phases of grief for the sake of being a person of faith, never really dealing with the areas that are bothering them. So instead of processing what's wrong, they end up suppressing what's wrong. They mask it through service or they mask it through activity, but they never sit at the feet of Jesus and say, God, this is what's going on. God, this is where I am. And I just want to be honest, and this is how I'm feeling, because to admit that I'm hurting, to admit that I don't know what's going on, feels like I'm lacking faith in God. I only want to please you. And so that teaching has been wrong. So we're not going to say God is trying to teach you something with the pain in your life. The next thing that we're not going to say when you're thinking about God, heal my heart, is we're not going to have you look at the blessings that you still enjoy. So instead of focusing on this is bothering me right now, we're not going to say don't be ungrateful. At least you still have ... And although that may be true, that is not the time for you to mention that. It is time for you, when there is something that's bothering you, to unpack it and allow God to heal that and to touch that. Another phrase that you're not going to hear from us across the pulpit in this series is that God is testing you. Oh, I feel like I'm talking to some folks who've been in church for a little while. And you know, just being in ministry now, I started at 12, so I started real young. This is year 21 going on 22 in ministry. So I've seen my fair share of homegoing services, all ages, all walks of life, all races. And one of the issues that I find at homegoing services, especially for Christians or spiritual people, is that we lack common sense. Someone has transitioned. It is not the time to tell them that they're far better off than we are right now, so we shouldn't miss them. We shouldn't cry. That you're lacking common sense. There are people who are there to grieve and to mourn, and the Bible employs us to be empathetic and walk alongside people and have enough compassion for them to say that this is tough right now. This is unheard of. This is the unthinkable. And while we walk from this moment, here's the hope that it will get better. No one gets married with plans to divorce outside of those who have prenups. But no one gets married with plans to divorce. No one raises their child in the fear and admonition of the Lord to see them go a completely different way. No one gives their all to a particular business and to a particular job to have it eliminated and removed without any explanation. People don't plan for this kind of stuff. People don't plan to have less money than they have month and have to believe God for the basic necessities in life. People don't dream and aspire to these ills that face our world at a constant rate, but yet they happen more times than we care to talk about. And we need to provide comfort for those who right now are uncomfortable. We need to say that it's okay that life might not look the way in which you thought it should look. It's okay for things not to be happening in the time and in the order that you believed that they should be happening in. It's okay for you to be feeling the way that you're feeling right now because there's hope. There's hope. But we've got to get people from a place of this immediacy of the pain, the tormenting, because sometimes trauma lasts years and it feels like it's only been days. When you think about the incident, the raw pain is still there. So I want to give you the encouragement that God is not only close to the brokenhearted, but he heals and he bandages our wounds. The last thing I don't want you all to hear in this sermon series is give thanks in spite of your circumstances. Again, all of these statements are fine, but these aren't the statements we need to hear right now. What we need to hear is Psalm 34:18 in part B, is that God rescues those whose spirits are crushed. Sometimes life has a way of crushing us to the point of complete and utter humility. Sometimes it's choices that we've made. Sometimes it's things that are happening to us that are outside of our control, and it breaks us all the way down back to square zero. But I want to encourage you that in the moments where you feel crushed, that just like in the Bible, in the Middle Eastern times, when you crushed a grape, it produced new wine. When you're feeling crushed, God wants to birth something new out of the places that you've been hurt.